Modern Storage Unpacked. Let's go.
Welcome back to Modern Storage Unpacked, the podcast where we make space for what matters and help you navigate the world of self-storage. Whether you're a first-time renter, a business owner needing some extra space, or just someone who loves a good behind-the-scenes industry insight, you're in the right place.
That's right. We're so glad that you're joining us. I'm Kaylee.
I'm Hannah, and today we're diving into the topic that can save you time, money, and frustration: common self-storage mistakes and how to avoid them. Believe it or not, self-storage isn't just as simple as tossing your stuff into a unit and just calling it a day.
There are a few key mistakes that can cost you big time, but don't worry. We've got the solutions to help you store smarter.
Yeah, from picking the wrong size unit to skipping climate control, these mistakes can really lead to wasted money, damaged belongings, and a whole lot of unnecessary stress. But don't worry, we're here to help. Let's unpack the 5 biggest self-storage mistakes and the simple ways to avoid them.
So let's start with the biggest and most common mistakes: picking the wrong size storage unit. It may not seem like that big of a deal, but trust me, it can make or break your storage experience.
Oh, absolutely. Renting a unit that's too small can lead to overcrowding, which really just makes it nearly impossible to access your units without unpacking or having to pull out everything. I have seen countless times someone moving into a storage unit, and after they spent their whole day planning, packing, and moving their items over into the unit they had just rented, they are frantic now because it won't all fit, and they need to go up in a size. So, and also another thing you got to keep in mind with is the next size up on that storage unit that facility may have might not be right next to where you just loaded everything into.
Gosh.
So you might have to pack it all back in a moving truck and ship it across half the property.
My nightmare.
So yeah, and on the other hand, renting a unit that's too big means you're just overpaying for space that you just don't need.
Yeah, and those are all great points that can totally throw off your entire renting experience for a self-storage unit. So what is the solution?
Well, the best thing you can really do is to consult with a storage expert. You know, the team at Modern Storage can help assess your needs, suggest the right size. Our job is to get you in the right size unit the first time around, so you won't be led to either overpaying for having too much space or have to relocate your belongings because you don't have enough space. We find that sweet spot in the middle.
Oh, yeah. See, that sounds like a great idea. Or you can use online tools, right? Doesn't modernstorage.com have like a super easy to-do storage guide or like storage calculator? You know, I heard that you could just input your items right in there and boom, it figures out the right size unit based on the suggested items that you put in.
Oh, yeah, that's a great tool. And also you got to remember to think vertical. A lot of people don't, think about when you're renting a storage unit, you're just renting the square footage. So, having stackable bins, shelving units can really maximize your space.
Oh, yes, exactly. And here's a pro tip. Think of your storage unit like a closet. If you can't really grab what you need, then you might have the wrong size.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is a tip. I know when my closet is overcrowded, I can't find anything. I have to pull out my entire closet just to find that one sweater I was searching for.
Oh my gosh, that's so annoying. Well, now that we've established how to choose the right storage unit, let's move on to another huge mistake, which I'm kind of guilty of too.
I think we all are.
Poor organization.
Yes. I've been dying to talk about this. I know we mentioned previously about having a hard time, finding that one sweater. Have you ever opened a packed closet and thought, where do I even start? That is exactly what happens when people don't plan their storage layout. Organization really is key.
Oh, yes. That's how I feel whenever I open my closet door. It's not just about having enough space. It's about utilizing the space efficiently.
Yes.
And you can end up with a lot of wasted space, or even worse, make it so you can't get anything out without having to get everything out of your closet.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one most common issue I see people not having is a clear aisle to walk through in their storage unit. It turns your storage unit into a big jumbled mess, and every time you need something, you're digging through piles of stuff. I've also seen people open up their storage unit and everything was packed so poorly that when they open their door, everything actually just falls out. And it's just, everything just falls straight to the ground. I feel so bad because I'm sure that's damaging a lot of people's belongings and making it stressful for them just to come by and get anything. And it's not supposed to be a stressful experience.
Yeah, exactly. And you're not just dealing with clutter. I mean, stacking heavy boxes on top of each other can lead to items being damaged or broken, and that's just a disaster like waiting to happen.
Yeah, it really is. So, here's a solution. Using clear bins, label every box so you can easily find what you need without making a mess of everything. Clear bins also allow you to see exactly what's inside, which makes accessing your items a lot quicker.
Oh, for sure. And labels are so important too. They don't have to be fancy. They can just be clear and easy to read. And don't forget to label the side of your boxes, especially if they're being stacked. You'll thank yourself later when you can just look at the label, grab the box, and you don't have to worry about pulling everything else down with it.
Yeah, that's a really great point. It's the little things that make just the big difference. When it comes to stacking, the best rule is to stack smart, putting your heavier items on the bottom and your fragile or more lighter items on the top. That way, nothing gets squished or crushed.
Exactly. And it's important to think about the access too, keeping your items more frequently used near the front of the unit so you don't have to move everything and just to grab that one box that you really needed.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Imagine it's the middle of the night. You're just needing to grab a couple boxes of seasonal decorations. Maybe it's like Christmas time, and if they're in the back, you're digging for hours trying to find everything. It's definitely not a good use of your time.
And let's talk about another organization tool that can help: shelving units. For example, they can give you way more vertical storage space, so you're not just relying on the floor. You can get stackable bins or even some great clear plastic drawers for those small, more frequently used items.
Yeah, that's a really great idea. Shelving units really open up the space and helps keep things off the floor so you can make the most of your unit's height. And speaking of space saving, actually, if you have smaller items using vacuum sealed bags,
Love
those. Yeah, they can really reduce the amount of space that your items are taking up.
Totally. And they're perfect for things like clothes, blankets, even pillows. I have squished a few pillows in my time. And, you can fit so much more in your unit when you've compressed everything down. Plus, it helps prevent for dust and moisture for getting into those belongings as well.
Yeah, that's a huge win for me. Now, here's one more tip that'll save you some time later. Take an inventory list or snap a photo before you leave or close up your unit.
Yes.
That way you know exactly where everything is. You won't have to waste your time digging through stuff just to find that one thing you need. So.
Oh, yeah, that's such a good time saver. Trust me, you'll be glad that you did it. And it doesn't take long to take a quick inventory of the items that you have in your unit, where you place them. You could even use your phone or just take a picture of the layout of the boxes even.
Yeah, right. And you can even add pictures to your list too. It's like a map to your storage unit,
Yes.
And if you ever forget where something is, all you have to do is refer to your photo or your list. So
Exactly. And 5 minutes of organization now can save you so much time and frustration later. You can avoid the chaos of having to search for something through all the boxes or even having to pull a bunch of boxes down.
yeah, absolutely. It's all about making it as easy as possible to access what you need when you need it. And remember, the more organized your unit is, the less likely you are to forget about things or lose track of what's in there too.
Yes. And the best part of organization is the continuous process. As you store more things or retrieve some, it's great to just spend a few more extra minutes to reorganize your unit. You're less likely to forget things or, keep track of what you have stored in your unit.
Yeah, exactly. You'll find that the more you organize, the easier it gets. I know it's kind of goes hand in hand with our lives, right?
Yes.
But it's so true. And it's worth it because in the end, it saves you time and money, stress. Plus, it'll help protect your items from damage and make, your storage experience much more enjoyable. So.
You're right. And it really does make a huge difference. I mean, the time that you take to get organized up front can just save you so much energy down the road.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. Yeah.
Well, now that we know how to store your items properly, let's get into what you shouldn't store. This is a big one because a lot of people don't realize that there are certain items that you absolutely should not store
Yes,
in
there-
a storage unit.
Absolutely. There are items that you should not store. There are some pretty strict rules here, like things like flammable items, gasoline, propane tanks, fireworks. I've seen that in a unit before.
Oh my
Fireworks,
gosh.
yeah. Or perishable foods, especially those attract pests. Definitely just not safe.
Let's not forget about the illegal or hazardous materials like chemicals or explosives. It's easy to overlook these things, but it's also very dangerous. They're often prohibited by law, or the storage facilities rental agreements could lead to you getting evicted.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely caught someone, as I mentioned to you, storing a whole load of fireworks. Not only is this a risk to the facility, all the people's belongings around your unit as well, but it could also damage the fireworks too. I mean, they were like the big Black Cat, big brand ones. I know they're not cheap.
Hundreds of
You know, they
dollars.
actually make the fireworks go bad a lot quicker storing it, being exposed, although the heat humidity shift changes. So it's a bad situation all around. And while we're on the subject, let's also talk about things like firearms and ammunition. These need to be stored properly and usually sometimes in a specialized facilities, not just your typical self-storage unit.
Yeah, it is really easy to assume that a storage unit is a catch-all and that there's not any limitations. But I mean, think about it. Those items could seriously put your belongings and other people's items at risk.
Oh, yeah, of course. You also want to avoid storing things that could cause damage to your unit, the items in your unit in the long term. For example, storing items like paint cans and solvents lead to chemical reactions that could damage your belongings or the unit. So,
Oh my gosh, yes. And don't get me started on plants or animals.
yeah.
They can really attract pests. And, well, no one wants to discover a moldy plant or worse, a mouse infestation when they open their unit.
Yeah, that's a big nightmare. So the best thing you can do is always check with the Modern Storage staff for a list of prohibited items. If you're unsure about something, it's better just to ask up front than to be sorry later. So
Oh, absolutely. And they'll know exactly what you can and cannot use or store in your unit. And they might even have some suggestions for some alternative storage solutions for those more tricky items.
yeah, it's absolutely better to be safe than sorry. And speaking of that, here's a pro tip. If it can explode, melt, rot, or attract rodents, it probably does not belong in storage.
I mean, good point. If you're unsure whether something is safe to store, just ask. It's always worth getting that little peace of mind.
Definitely, definitely. And just to make sure your items are stored safely, remember that some facilities offer additional options like climate control, which is a great way to keep more sensitive items in top condition.
Oh, for sure. I mean, climate control is a great investment. You know, it's really good to store those very specific items that you really want to preserve.
Yeah, absolutely. So pretty much in a nutshell, make sure you're always aware of the rules before storing anything. It's a lot easier to check beforehand than to face any issues down the road, and always prioritize safety.
Oh, yes. And stay informed. You'll be able to store your belongings without any hassle or risk.
All right, guys. So let's talk about a really big one. Security.
Bad boys, bad boys.
Listen, guys, when you are trusting your valuable belongings to a storage facility, security should always be your top priority. A lot of people make the mistake of not paying attention to the security features, the facility that they choose, you know?
I mean, you're absolutely right. You don't want to be in a situation where your stuff cannot be properly protected.
Yeah.
I mean, some facilities don't even have adequate surveillance or even like have gated access.
Yeah.
And it can be really easy for someone to just walk on in there unnoticed.
Yeah, and let's not even talk about the cheap padlocks that some people use. They're easily broken or picked, and they don't offer any kind of protection when it comes to your items. It's a huge mistake that really just ends up costing you big time.
Oh, right. But I know at Modern Storage, they really take security very seriously.
Yeah.
And, I know that they have 24/7 cameras all over the facility. So your belongings are constantly being monitored. It's all about giving the customer a peace of mind and knowing that your stuff is safe.
Yeah, exactly. And plus, we have gated access.
Yes.
That means you need a personal access code to enter the facility and to exit. You won't have random people just wandering on in. It's a secure, controlled environment, even down to our climate buildings. Everything is controlled by your assigned gate code. If you're not renting in a particular building, your code won't even work there. We can actually zone gate codes to specific buildings based off what you're renting. So it just adds an extra layer of security.
Wow. So it's not just about access control.
Yeah.
We have dedicated customer support available to help you with any of your storage concerns that you may have. You guys are always just a click or a call away.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of keeping things safe, our facilities are always clean, well lit, and not just about convenience. It plays a big part in security. A well lit environment helps deter away unwanted people.
Absolutely. And are there any other security measures that Modern Storage takes as on top of their security cameras?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We do daily security checks of the whole entire property. And we also do weekly lock checks where we go to every single door. And if the unit is supposed to be rented, we make sure you got a lock on there and it's actually locked properly. You'd be surprised how many people actually forget to put their locks back on whenever they leave. So I've definitely had a few phone calls that have saved some people probably a lot of time and stress.
I can understand that. I am that person that will leave their house key in their door after walking in. So I can understand the forgetfulness. And so it's really good that you guys do go around and check those.
Yeah.
I would forget.
Absolutely. One time I was even leaving the property and it was one of our business accounts too, full of their stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And it was right by the exit gate and the unit wasn't just unlocked, but it was halfway open.
Oh.
So you could just see everything that was in there. And of course, I gave them a little call and be like, if you're not close, I can just lock it up for you. So they're very grateful for us. Yeah.
Yes. And see, I love that. And I know that there are also tons of storage facilities that are 24-hour access, even if it is gated. Though, it can be convenient, but it also really puts those facilities at a greater risk for allowing more people on the property, especially when staff isn't present.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for mentioning that because having 24-hour access, yes, it is very convenient, but with that being offered straight off the bat to anyone and everyone does come with some major risks. Think about it. Your valuable items that you're paying to store is only a door away from any potential thieves late at night or early in the morning when there's no staff around to help monitor. It's just an uneasy feeling and something people don't really think about when they're choosing, where to store their items.
Mm-hmm. And it's a great point. And I will say, here's another pro tip. A high quality lock paired with a secure facility can save you thousands in potential losses. It is worth investing that extra layer of protection for your peace of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And security is key. At Modern Storage is setting the bar high when it comes to keeping your stuff safe.
So make sure you always consider security features when you're choosing your storage facility. So at Modern Storage, you can rest easy knowing that your belongings are in good hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Another big mistake that people make when renting a storage unit is, this is really a big one, is not insuring their items. Oof. So, Kaylee, a lot of people think that just because their storage facility has great security, their items are completely safe, but accidents can still happen, right?
Yeah. And even with 24/7 surveillance and gated access and all of these top tier security measures, there are still risks like natural disasters, fires, or even the possibility of theft. You never want to think the worst will happen, but it's always better to be prepared.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that some renter's insurance or homeowner's insurance doesn't cover the item storage in their storage unit as well.
Oh.
If you have a renter's in policy, let's say through an apartment complex, sometimes it only covers that apartment. Kind of like if you were to get a plan in-house, it would only be for your storage unit here. So, so you should always check your coverage as it may only cover your apartment solely and does not carry over into your storage unit. That's a huge gap that I feel many people overlook.
Oh, exactly. You could have all of your important belongings safely packed away, but if something goes wrong, you may not be covered unless those items are specifically covered in your insurance, saying that they cover storage units. So without it, you'd be on your own for replacing all of those items. That would be devastating.
Yeah. And what about things like fires and floods? Like those situations are something that no facility could fully prevent. So no matter how much security they have in place, insurance helps protect against those kinds of losses.
Mm-hmm. Now, I imagine if your items are damaged by water or fire starts, if you don't have insurance, then you'd be left with nothing. I mean, even the best precautions, it's important to have an extra layer of that protection. I mean, just in case.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people don't realize how affordable also storage insurance really is. It's often much less expensive than they expect, and they can really help you save in the long run.
Oh, that's right. And I mean, it's really easy to get. I know at Modern Storage, they actually require insurance for every unit, which basically insures them no matter what. And your items are covered. So we do offer several different insurance plans based on the value of the items that you're storing. So whether you're storing a few boxes or more valuable items, I know Modern Storage has a plan to fit everyone.
Yeah, I love that. And this is especially beneficial for renters who might not already have insurance coverage for their stored items. If you don't have a homeowner's or renter's policy that covers storage, you're not left in a tough spot. We partner with a third-party insurance, so you can just opt into a plan that fits your needs, and you can do that when you're signing up for the storage unit, making it super easy and affordable to protect your things.
So it's a win-win. By requiring insurance, we're making sure everyone is covered no matter what happens. But if you don't have your own insurance, it's so nice to have a plan already built in for you that day when you're renting a storage unit.
Yeah, and those insurance options aren't just for the peace of mind. They're a safeguard in case anything unpredictable, fires, floods, or even natural disasters. Insurance ensures that you're not financially responsible for damages beyond your control. I actually have a quick story to tell. I had a very unpredicted event happen at my facility. It was just your average Saturday, sunny day out, and a car that was driving nearby had ran off the road and into like 3 of my storage units, right through them. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. The person is okay, thankfully. That's the biggest thing. But there were units that were severely affected by them. One of them was a business account. They had great coverage. Everything was covered. No big deal. We moved him over, whatever. And then there was another lady. She thankfully had she had a plan through us. It was,
good.
She had insurance. But the kicker to it, though, she didn't have the appropriate coverage amount. Though she was able to be covered for some of the loss, she didn't think it was going to be that important to get a higher plan that was actually the value of her items. And it did seem like some of it was sentimental to her too. So it's just something you got to think about. Having the correct insurance policy is just as important as being insured altogether, because anything can really happen.
And that just goes to show you that you can never plan on these things to happen.
Yeah.
And even if you have insurance on your home, you might just want to double check to see if it covers the items in your storage unit. Many policies don't cover off-premises storage, just as you mentioned previously. So having a storage-specific plan can really save you from those potential headaches.
Yeah, that's why we encourage everyone to take just a minute to check. And if you need it, Modern Storage has you covered. It's a small investment to make sure you're covered, especially when you're storing valuable or sentimental items. And if you're not sure what coverage you need, our team at Modern Storage can definitely be available to help you out with that and guide you through all of your options.
And there is another very common mistake.
Yes. Save the best for last.
Yes. Not choosing a climate control storage can lead to your valuable items damaged or ruined. This mistake mostly stems from the lack of knowledge, and we want to provide you with all the ins and outs of when or why you should go climate. So we will be dedicating our next podcast solely to this topic, so you can feel confident that you're properly storing your items in the right storage unit.
Yeah, that's very exciting. So we've covered a lot today, but let's quickly do a recap of some of the biggest issues people can make when they're renting a storage unit. The first mistake we went over is choosing the wrong size unit. This can lead to time and money wasted. The best way to avoid this is just to consult with an expert like us at Modern Storage, or to use online tools like our storage calculator on our website to find the perfect fit.
Exactly, Hannah. And the second mistake is poor organization. If you don't properly plan out your storage layout, you could end up with a ton of wasted space, or even worse, not being able to access any of the items that you wanted to store. So keeping those clear bins, labels, and sticking to those smart essential tips to keep your unit organized and efficient is important.
Yes. And don't forget about the things that you shouldn't be storing. Flammable materials, chemicals, even live plants, surprisingly, can attract animals as well. All of that is just a disaster waiting to happen. And always check with your facility to see what's allowed to keep your things safe.
And don't make this mistake of overlooking these security features. I know at Modern Storage, they have 24/7 surveillance, gated access, and high quality locks to ensure that your belongings are protected. It is vital to pick a facility that has top-notch security so you can rest easy knowing your belongings are safe.
Yep, that's right, Kaylee. But last and not least, insurance. Many renters assume their items are automatically covered, but that's not always the case. Modern Storage requires insurance, and we offer plans that are affordable and can cater to the value of your items. It's an easy way to ensure your belongings are covered in the case of unexpected situation.
Exactly. It is a small investment for a huge peace of mind. So remember to choose the right unit, stay organized, keep security a priority when choosing a self-storage facility, and get your items insured. It's all about making your storage experience as smooth and stress-free as possible.
Yeah, that's right, Kaylee. And next up on Modern Storage Unpacked, we are going to be tackling one of the biggest debates in storage: climate controlled versus non-climate controlled. Do you really need it? Is it just an extra expense? We're going to be unpacking it all and bringing in a special guest to give you all the knowledge you need when it comes to making this decision. So pretty exciting. Stay tuned.
Awesome.
That's it for today, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Modern Storage Unpacked, the podcast where we make space for what matters. Until next time, stay organized, stay efficient, and keep making space for what matters.
That's a wrap for this episode of Modern Storage Unpacked. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and check out modernstorage.com for more ways to stay ahead in the storage industry. See you next time.